I'm JJ.
I'm CJ.
And we are the Radio Twins.
And this is
ENT Radio, or really it's not the ENT Radio, it's the experience.
Radio Twins Experience.
And if you definitely want to hear us streaming live on the radio show, you can always go to WOLB.com or pretty much go to TheRaydioTwins.com and you'll get it. If you ever wanted to follow us on all social media platforms, we are on some of these, not all of them. Facebook, TikTok, Fanbase, Instagram, Twitch, Substack, Spill, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Threads. If you follow us, we follow you back. You can also go to our website, which is TheRaydioTwins.com.
TheRaydioTwins.com.
And you can check out our apparel line on the same by going to the same website. And it's called, of course, TheRaydioTwins.com. And you can always look for the tab that says Born to Win Store. When you click it, you'll be headed to another website, which is our other website, which is for the apparel. And it's called Born to Win Store.com. You can check us out on our radio show Saturdays at 3 p.m. by going to TheRaydioTwins.com. And this is the Radio Twins Experience podcast, where we discuss people, places, and things in detail. The Radio Twins Experience is where we also interview interesting individuals because we believe everyone has a story to tell. You experience them just as we do. So with that being said, we have special guests today. And special guests, would you please introduce yourselves?
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Rube Rice, Mr. Two Nights Entertainment. My right-hand man, my brother, DJ Keith Terry.
What's up, guys? Now, you know, we don't then tend to make this in an interview. It's pretty much a conversation, and it just so happens it unlocks a lot of interesting things about you guys. So with that being said, there are so many occupations that you hold. One of them being a producer, but there's many more that you hold, and they are
keyboardist, drummer, DJ, singer, rapper, father, friend,
I like
philanthropist.
Right.
Say that 3 times.
Podcast. You're also a podcaster too, right?
Yes, I am.
Definitely.
Thank you, sir.
No problem, Tom, man. From one podcaster to another one. So, with that being said, how did you get into music, or at least producing?
Producing, it came about, I was a rapper. I chose to be a rapper, and that's something that I wanted to do back in the mid-'90s, late 90s, coming into the early 2000s. And I got some guys who would feature on my album or my project at the time, and they were some young guys, and they could go. They could like really rap. And I found out then that my rap career wasn't going to go well. So I focused on beat making for all of the guys and girls that came over to feature on my project, and that's how I primarily started being, a producer.
Okay.
Well, before you move to that, first off, I think when we found out that you could sing is when you did the hook for us. But then this rap part, I didn't know about either. I'm finding out like everybody else right now. That's okay.
Jack of all trades.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's all hip hop to me.
Right.
And so I was fortunate enough to be around when hip hop was first started. And so when it was fresh, everybody wanted to do everything. So you wanted to rap, you wanted to break dance, you wanted to beatbox, you wanted to DJ, you tried your hand, graffiti, you tried your hand in everything. And as time went on, you found out what you were really good at with life circumstances, however they came. And then you just picked a road and you just rolled with it.
As a person starting off as a rapper, a lyricist, who did you look to say, you know what, that's what I want to do?
Rakim.
Oh, okay.
Rakim.
Yeah.
Rakim.
Who was that person?
You said as a producer?
Yeah.
It was a toss up, probably between 2 or 3 producers. Quincy Jones, Dr. Dre, and DJ Premier is what got me really wanting to be a producer. And I got to shout out Kanye West too. So yeah,
He's different, unique.
Yeah.
Definitely. What do you find more interesting to do when you create the body of a song, whether it's rap or whether it's R&B or someone singing?
mm-hmm.
What do you do first? Do you create the music first, or the lyrics?
It depends. The first thing I do personally is sit down with the artist and see what they are about and see what they have. Some people like to come to the studio or come with me and say, let's filter through some beats. Some people say, I got a song in my head and I just need to get it out. But I don't have a beat for it. I got a melody, but I don't have a beat or anything for it. And then we'll start that way. So it just depends on the artist as far as I'm concerned.
So when you created your company, what was more difficult to do? Was it difficult, one, creating it?
Definitely. The business side of everything to me is probably the most difficult ever. You know, when it comes to musicianship and artistry and the stuff that we do, it's pretty much easy to be in a studio all night long. You don't have to twist my arm, or you don't have to twist anybody artist on, like, you better get to the studio. Nah, you're going to be in the studio. That's the fun part of it. The difficult part is to say, all right, who gets what? How do we split these royalties? How do we split copyrights? How do we make sure that we get paid when our song does hit the radio and it plays? How do we get paid if they want to use it in a motion picture? How do we live from our artistry? And that's the most difficult part, because there's a lot of moving parts that come with that.
So when you do come up with some stuff for specific artists, regardless if they're rap or R&B, country, whatever, do you ever find yourself saying, I don't want to give this particular artist this, but then when you work with someone else, it sounds like sort of like the first artist that you were dealing with? Like, do you get a little nervous about that when you're working with different types of artists, where you're afraid that some of the same ideas may be regurgitated in a different way? Or do you just let the artist be who they are and you come up with some new stuff each time?
That's a good question. But the short answer is I come up with something new each time. For me, I don't want to get like too deep or whatever, but it's an art form. And so everybody brings a different colors. Everybody brings different texture to the picture. So, you know, if I'm doing something for Fanta, you know, she's a different artist than, let's just say, Stacey Rose, which is another singer. They're two different artists, so they can do the same beat, you know, for an example, but they bring totally different colors and textures to that song. So it wouldn't be the same idea as far as I'm concerned, you know. So I'm pretty much never afraid of that.
What made you come up with the name of your company?
Man, it was so simple. It is so simple. Me and my boy, James Drummond, my man Jay, one of my lifetime longest friends. He's also used to be a singer, and we just rode together. And everything that we did, we put nice on the end of it. So it was, at one point in time, it was Rube Nice, it's Jay Nice, and when the company came together, it was two of us. So we named it Too Nice, and that was pretty much it. Then I went to go get it copyrighted and made it into a legitimate business. It was Too Nice Entertainment LLC. That's simple.
You've created it. Do you find dealing with different art, like he was saying, something similar to what he was saying? You deal with a lot of artists, and I gotta ask, have you ever come across ego so much so that you're like, okay, I can't work with you?
Or can you
Yeah,
work with artists that they have an ego, but you can kind of like let the ego do its thing and you still be able to work with them?
right.
Yeah, I've come across them. I'm not going to say quite a lot, but more than once. And one of the reasons I consider myself a great producer is not simply because I can make beats or I make the illest beats. It's because I'm able to get into the studio and get the best out of anybody that walks through these doors. So when it comes to ego, there's a lot of different methods you can deal with that. And a lot of time, as you guys know from experience, a lot of it is talking. It's talking to see what's on your mind, to see where we meet at, to see where you are. I've shut down the studio sessions on occasion, and we just went to go eat. We went out and maybe went to Applebee's or something, got a couple drinks, and just talked about what it is, what's on their mind or what's on my mind, so we can squelch any ego that might be there. So yeah, you deal with them, but for me, being a great producer means you know how to get the best out of anybody, whether they got a great ego or don't have enough ego. Swag is what we like to call it sometimes. So yeah, I run across them.
I think what most people don't realize, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because we've worked with you in studio, may not know that even though you use the sound, of course, which you're creating, but you also like the visual part of it, right?
When you say the visual part, what do you mean?
Like if someone is in the studio and you record videotape as they're in the process of creating music, a lot of people may not know that you do that as well, right?
Yeah, correct. I do small things, because nowadays it's just a changing of the times, and people love visuals now. We could just put up you guys rapping on a microphone and they would rather see that rather than they hear what's going on. It feels better to them. So yeah, I haven't mastered it, but I got a couple visuals out there underneath my belt, But.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because we've gotten a few people on inbox wanting to see us in the midst of rapping. So when you have artists that are just coming to you who are just starting out and they haven't gotten to the quote unquote stage performance yet, they seem a little bit hesitant. I'm not talking about anybody in particular.
All right.
But so what would you say to them once, let's say, the projects are done, like to kind of motivate them even more? Like, not to say that they wouldn't be able to get on stage, but they just haven't grown to that particular level yet. What would you say to get them more so onto the stage to kind of like get to that performance part of it?
Right. Well, first I would say, guys, to the people that you're talking about, my bad. To those type of artists, look, man, nothing beats good old fashioned practice, man. We've all done it in some form or fashion. We've pretended we were on stage. If we were playing sports, we pretended that it was 5 seconds left to go. And we got the ball. What are we going to do? We've all been at the plate in the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 3-2 count. What you going to do? So we've all been through that particular scenario. And what I would say is just practice, man. Take that microphone, take that brush, whatever it is that you got, the comb, and work that out in your bedroom, work that out in your basement, work it out on the porch, wherever it is may be. And that's what you do, because you practice like you're on stage. There is no such thing as, that it's a difference from practicing and then when you get this on stage, there's no difference, none whatsoever. So whatever you do in practice, that's what you're going to do on the stage. And if you do nothing in practice, guess what you're going to do on the stage?
Right. So true. What makes your music different from anything that's out there already?
Well, I'm super ill.
And apart from the rest.
I'm just really super duper ill. And I don't like no. A guy said to me years ago when I first started, when I started playing, I had a lot of melody inside of my music. because I come from a church background. So there's a lot of melody in my piano playing, and the stuff that I want to put into the song is organs and guitars. And at the time, you know, he said to me, you know, just wait your turn. Don't bend to the industry and what it is now, because eventually melodies are going to come back, and then you're going to learn through experience how to mesh them both together. But don't lose the melody in what you do. And so I think that a lot of my music has melody in it, even if you know, a lot of people want to put sounds in there, and that's cool for them. But for me, I can say, all right, what key do you want this song to be in? Even when it comes to hip hop, you know, I can say, all right, we're going to change this to F minor. We're going to change this to C major. We're going to change this, you know, to a D minor or something like that. So there's always melody inside of my music for the most part. So I think that might be the difference, or one of the biggest difference in my musical production. And I'm a hard ass in the studio. So, you know, those two things are probably the most number one determining factors on why I'm different from a lot of other people.
What is the best and the worst thing about what you do?
The best thing is, man, it's like baking a cake. You know, you get all the ingredients together, you get your eggs, your flour, your sugar, and all the stuff that you got to put into it. And sometimes you can't believe what you have to put together inside of this cake to make it a cake. And then you do it all, and then it's like you put it in the oven, and it's just all of this liquid, all the ingredients, and then you just bake it for a couple hours. And then when you open the oven, you can smell the aroma coming, man. You can just kind of start formulating how this thing is going to taste. And then you take it out the oven at the right time. You put a little slice into it, and you go, it tastes good. And then you realize, man, I'm going to put some icing on there, how good it's going to be. Maybe put some, you know, whatever it is you put onto it. And that's how music is. It's like, yo, you grabbing all these different ingredients from scratch. And, you know, you can smell it cooking. You can smell it coming together. You in the studio with your artist, man, and they come up with an idea, and it's like, what do you think about this? And like, oh, that sounds good. Let's work. And you can feel it all coming together, and you can just taste it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best feeling ever. The worst feeling is when you do all of that and they get out and they do absolutely nothing with the music, and they and they take the cake. They take one slice and be like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that's the worst part of it all.
Wow. Well, it's funny you should say that, because we had saw somewhere where someone had actually said something like they would give or sell their music if you don't use it. And that was one of my biggest deals. If I had ever decided I wanted to do music, was like, I would never want to take someone's music and just kind of say, oh, I'm not going to do anything. I just created this whole little masterpiece for nothing. And I'm like, and I remember you used to say that when we first started going to the studio. You kept saying, what's the point of it? Is there a point? And so, you know, and have you ever gotten to a point where the cake that you made, the music you produce and make, where you get to a point where you're like, it's still good, but then you feel like I got to stop myself, because it almost feels like you're adding too much to the music, as opposed to having a dead end stop, like, okay, that's it right there, we got it, instead of, you know, have you ever gotten to that point?
Always. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I believe, again, going back to the artistry or the painting of it all, I believe, man, you just throw stuff on the wall and see what sticks. And if it doesn't stick, you erase it and take it off. Just throw it in there. Let's see. There's nothing else that you can physically do, or there's, you know, it's not a bad thing to say, let's try it out. Mm-hmm. And if it don't work, it don't work. But if it do, my nigga, we hit the jackpot. Mm-hmm. We hit the jackpot, and you know, now we got something. But if you don't try it, and I hate to sound corny, but try again, and you shall succeed. But you know, so yeah.
I think one of the I think one of the things that I guess you could say sparked us getting to know who you were was the very first time we saw you. First of all, when we first saw you DJ,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know that, and then when we saw you playing drums, we
Mhm.
and of course I can't say these things and not say or mention those were usually at events held by who?
Wisdom Court.
There you
There you
go,
go.
Billy Live. If y'all don't know, and my thing is, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? And I'm going somewhere with this.
I'm still enjoying music. It will forever be something that I will be a part of. Whether you see me in public or just in my home, I'll still be enjoying music and doing the things that I like to do and hanging out with the people that I like to hang out with.
Definitely. So even though I asked that 5 year, what was the best and worst piece of advice you've ever gotten? You don't, and when you saying the worst, you don't have to mention whoever told you it, but what was?
If I can remember, I'd definitely tell you. The best was probably the guy who told me, stay where you are and don't move from your melodies. As far as production wise, because it's going to come back around. And it did. And again, that's why one of the reasons I think I'm one of the greatest producers ever, because my style is pretty tight. The worst, I don't know if it was specifically said or done, but the worst was just kind of lay in the back and follow the trend.
Ooh.
And just do what they do. Oh, so and so is making a hit. Let's follow that blueprint. Other people are doing this. Oh, they were successful with it. Let's try to do similar to that. And tell you the truth, it was probably the same person who told me to stay with the melodies. And I ain't gonna mention their name. I will not. But it was probably the same person, which was very weird.
Have you ever done any music or any type of project where it didn't have any melody to it, that you just kind of stumbled across and said, "Oh, this doesn't have a melody," or it's just always been that way?
There's always exceptions. There's always exceptions to it. But for the main part, it's always been melodic with me. Even if the particular track doesn't have a melody, I try my damnedest to make the vocal side have melody into it. So even if it's a stripped down beat or something, I would rather have a singer on a stripped down beat rather than a rapper on a stripped down beat. So yeah, it's always melodic, some type of way.
Definitely. Well, we definitely always got to give what we like to call the winning questions. Pretty much it's like a statement, and we leave off, and you fill in the rest with whatever comes to mind. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I could never have predicted.
Dang. Is this a speed round?
No.
I could have never predicted that I would have this much respect in the music industry.
Wow. That's crazy.
The key to happiness is
Friendships.
Yes. That's cool. I have one too. I don't always respect them every now and again, but
yeah.
It is.
Man, if you can't tell, we twins as well.
You will never regret.
God, I want to say something, but I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that because she would be pissed. I would never regret. You know what? I would never regret having a family. Those people that I started my wife and my children and everything. It was young, and there was a lot that comes into it when you're a young parent and you're newly married and all that kind of stuff. But those bringing everything back to music, all of them were the basis of what my music thought and theory is today. They all had a part in who I am, not only as a person, but musically. So shout out to Simone, Kayla, Kendall, and Rashid.
All right. Again,
Salute.
much respect to that.
This sounds like the last question, but it says, but you might wish you had
started this thing earlier. I wish I would have started this, or I wish I would went hard earlier. I started back in college around 18 and 19, but I wish I would have went really hard. And who knows, maybe we'd be in California talking about this right now in a multi-million-dollar studio, and you know, maybe eating steak and shrimp as we have this interview.
We would be nowhere. Nobody. We wouldn't be nowhere around.
You never know. Never know.
You never know, because you know everybody's road is different, but then God's way of still working some stuff out and having people clash and connect. So yeah,
indeed.
The biggest risk I ever took was
putting my music out. You know, there's a lot of people. It's oddly enough, you know, my boy Keith was around during those young years in the studio, and we come across different people or the same people where one wanted to stay inside the studio and just kind of do music there, and then it was myself who wanted to put it out, throw it against the wall, and see what happens. And I did that. And I went, and it opened up so many doors and so many gates, so many heavens. And, you know, the other person who was cool as the other side of the pillow just kind of stayed and chilled, you know? Yeah.
I hope people will remember me most for.
I hope people will remember me most for my authentic compassion and humanity. Yeah.
And my last one, never be impressed by
gold. Never be impressed by gold. You don't know what someone had to do to get that gold. And at any point in time, the cost, the price, and the value of gold could plummet.
Definitely.
Well, I got to go back to that one question where I said, I hope people will remember me for most, and you said humanity. I have to agree with that, because I've never seen, like, when we do go to the studio, and we always, like, that's all me and my brother always say is like, yo, Rube, if it's trash,
tell us.
And for some reason or another, you find it's always a joke in it, but we kind of like get it. And even if I think a vocal is like really on point, you'll just under your breath say, yo, no, hit that again. And like even like hesitating.
Right.
And I'll laugh because I'm like, nobody's ever been able to tell us it's trash and get a laugh out of it. Most of the expensive, but like that, honestly, I think that takes skill to literally be like, hey, yo, Jay, that was trash, but you know what? Let's try it again. Not the trash, but let's do it better. That type of vibe.
Not the trash.
So it does, and I kind of agree with that humanity part of it. So that's just my take on it.
And go ahead.
No doubt about it. That is a very important characteristic, not only to have in music, but in life. Everybody gets better, you know, when they are told the truth. You know, there's been so many different times that we could probably look at or listen to the radio or see somebody perform, and it was like, my God, you mean to tell me their friends let them leave the studio? You know, with that
crap.
When you practice that on stage and in rehearsal, and then you got out there and that's the way you look, you mean to tell me you got friends in the camp that said nothing to you and just let you go out? You mean to tell me when you walked into the club, smelling the way you do,
Oh,
right.
Your friends never said, yo,
Right.
before we go into this club, we need to stop by 7-Eleven and pick
Right.
up some deodorant. We need to hit the oil man, something, because I'm just not going to let my man walk into the goddamn venue
Right.
any old way.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, just like my man, I taught him a lot about DJing. And, I gave him critiques, when he started out. What do I look like if he blended and it was horrible? And I was like, that's tight.
Right.
right.
Where would you be? Where would he be today?
Right.
Where would he be today?
Right.
Yeah.
And we tend to like to bring up two prominent names from music or movies or whatever, and I'll bring up one and he'll bring up another, and you tell us what you think when we let you know that name. You want to go first?
Sure. No, you go first. You go first.
Jesus.
My savior.
I like that.
I didn't expect that. Now,
See, I had two, but I wanted you at least to pick one. So.
I can't top that.
Right. Oh, well.
Like now, you got me think. I mean, I was like here. You was like,
I got one, but I don't want to take.
Go hit it on while I think of something.
Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones.
Oh, the greatest who ever did it. There's so many different pieces of advice that I got from him. So many things that he said that confirmed how I ran my production and the things that I did. And when I listen to him, like, yo, I do that. Oh, I do that. And I've gotten one of the greatest pieces of advice from him. And he said, or at least one of the things he said was, when you do other genres of music, don't force what you like into that, into that music or into that production. If you're doing, I remember doing, I don't even know what you want to call it, but a guy was from Russia, and he was doing a Russian song, and it's what they listen to over there. And so my first my first thought was to put my own thing on it to make it better. But it was like, no, let that music be what it's going to be. You don't always have to put, hip hop into it, or you don't always have to put gospel into it, or whatever the case may be. Let that music breathe and be what it is.
Oh, that's good. I never thought of it that way.
Well, since he did come up with Quincy Jones, I gotta at least say, without Quincy, Michael Jackson.
Man, Michael Jackson was it's going to sound funny in 2026, but he was definitely a boyhood idol of mine. Michael Jackson, I would have to say, probably was one of the people who led me to be as artistic as I am. I remember seeing him when I was not seeing him in person, but I remember hearing his music like in 79 when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And then I remember being like 8 or 9 dancing to his music in school. And that kind of transitioned a lot for me. Just listening to Mike, looking at Mike, remembering Mike and all the visuals that he had, running into the house to see the Thriller for the first time, and just being in awe of the creativity that he has. And it's like, you're looking at what we thought was a mini movie, but this is a video.
Right.
A 13-minute video. So yeah, Mike is very important in my musical journey.
The second person that I want to say is one that I don't necessarily know, but the one person in your everyday life who had a major impact on you doing music today.
Oh man, it's been a lot, but you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do this. My man next to me right here, man. I mean, I had him sit down with me in this interview, and as you can see, not necessarily to speak, but Just because he means so much to me, not only in my musical life but in my personal life. But everybody needs, for every king, if you will, every King David, there needs to be a Zechariah, his right hand man. For every Martin Luther King, there needs to be a Reverend Abernathy. For every
James, there's a Charles. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for every Satchel Paige, there's a Josh Gibson.
Right.
So you need that thing, and so somebody there to give you the support, somebody there who also to lift you up when you're down, to help you out when you don't have. One of the memories I had most is when I lost all my studio equipment and my computer went down, and so I went over his house and he was like, "Yo, hey, whatever it is you need to put on my computer to do your stuff, go ahead and do it." And he went to bed probably around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and he woke up to go to work the next morning around 6 or 7, and I'm still at it. Those type of things, man. Those type of things. True story.
that you can barely find that in this world today. But that trusted you enough to still be there when he got up, and
still be working. So did you finish whatever it was? Was it a specific song you were working on that night, or was it?
Nah, man. It was just me getting back, putting my programs on there, getting new samples, just building my repertoire of working in the studio again. It was done for me. And at that time, if you don't have a computer, it's pretty tough to get your stuff done. But it was just me flexing, getting back into the game.
Right. Yeah. So if anyone wanted to get in contact with you to work with you, producer, or even as a videographer, how would they get in touch with you?
They would not, because I would not want to work with them. That
was pretty cool how you answered that. They would not. That's the presidential response. They would not.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, man, it takes, I'm not going to say supernatural. It takes a spiritual type of connection to contact and get with me. So the short answer is you got to know somebody that knows somebody who knows somebody in order to get in contact with me. And because I just don't want to, what I do now, what God has blessed me to be able to do is to do what I want and not what I need. So when I work with people, it's because I want to, not because I'm trying to shout out my studio and get people to come and try to make commercials or whatever. I'm not into that no more. I'm into making good music with good people, and whatever that comes out to be, that's what I'm with.
Somebody said something to us a while ago, and
the lie. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Because, so not a lot of people. I mean, for what you're doing, is special. So, not everybody can have access to that. Right. Because then that becomes it gets to a point where it's like, am I doing it for the right reasons or
and I'm glad you said it. And we had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
With what we do, we had to realize that
not everybody
should be able, like you said, everybody shouldn't be able to get access to what God everybody's not blessed us with.
Right. God, everything that we do is not. I mean, there are going to be some haters, but then there are going to be some people that really love it. But not everybody's going to like or love or hate what you do. It's just, you're set on a path that He put you on. So I get it.
And truth be told, everybody has to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Everybody, you have to learn the hard way, because you will not understand it until it F's you up. You will not be able to appreciate your peace until your peace has been interrupted.
Right.
So we got to learn it the hard way, and that's why we become so sticklers for it. Once we find it, oh, okay. I know what to do now. I know what to do now. And so yeah, so that's the thing.
You need to add another title. Write a daggone book.
Right.
How about that?
Right.
Well, maybe, sir. In my peaceful times, I just might.
But first of all, we definitely want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to interview you.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a long list of people, and we knew we wanted to interview you, and we've already told you even before we started the interview who we wanted to get in contact with.
And we always say, no matter whatever artist you got, let us know. We'll interview them as well, promote them as much as possibly, human possibly anyway. Am I saying that right? Humanly possibly.
There you
okay.
I guess.
I'm messing up on words too, Rube. Don't feel bad. But yeah.
What you mean too? Don't put me out there.
What was the word?
Don't put me out there.
No. The word.
Don't shine the light on my flaws.
Yo.
It's like, look, tell him he's in his own spotlight.
Right.
Don't
you know what I'm saying?
I'm saying. I was like,
hey, you know what? That's one of the worst pieces of advice that
I've yo.
But nah.
But yeah.
But all jokes aside, though, man. All jokes aside, I appreciate you guys. Respect. I feel the respect and admiration that you have for me, and I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted. There are a lot of people out here who I deal with on a daily, day-to-day basis, and it could be the other way around. It didn't have to be this way, and so I appreciate you guys for not only your professionalism but respect. I appreciate you guys for your honesty, your admiration. Thank you for coming through, to Fonta's listening party. Thank you for interviewing Trobino. Thank you for, the stuff that you do with Wisdom Court. Thank you for being clients. Thank you for, just the conversations that we have. There's a thing with professionalism that I love. And for me, it carries over to your character, even in personal times. And, I remember with the listening party, and I say this a lot, but specifically with that listening party, Fonta was like, yo, when is everything going to get started? And trying to get the timeline together. And I was like, well, whatever time I said, we're going to start. I was like, let's just say 7. Like, it's going to be from 7 to X, Y, and Z. I said, but you want to get here a little early because the twins, they're going to get here at 6:45. So I know that most people are not going to walk through that door till 7:30, but the Radio Twins are going to get here. As a matter of fact, they probably get here 30 minutes till and just sit in the car and prepare themselves to be able to come in. But that carries over, to a person's character. And for me, that means being prepared. That means caring about not only who you are, but I respect these other people that I'm doing this for. And so I appreciate that, man. If nobody's ever told you guys that, I appreciate all of that.
I tipped my hat off, but my shape up ain't looking too good right now.
I understand. Come on over. Well,
how about this? But nobody can see it. Hey.
But again, we definitely want to say thanks for giving us the opportunity to interview you.
Yeah.
And connect with you as a friend, because we definitely, of course, we met Billy. We met you through Billy, and it's like a tree with branches, and everybody we've come across, you, Elizabeth, your daughter, Trobino, everybody, Billy, crazy.
Because I think the only thing we got some what they call it, a bucket list.
Yeah.
We still haven't interviewed any DJs.
But,
so hey, whenever you feel like you want to do an interview, let us know.
Just let us know.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all having me here, man. Y'all didn't have to agree to this. Y'all agreed to interview Ruben, so it's my honor to be here. Y'all, thanks, Ruben, for including me too. And I just wanted to say, just really quick, that it's not one way. I really appreciate all the things he said about me, but I'm going forever saying the things he's done for me. So not just the things we talked about on the phone and, during them dark times, but, my whole DJ journey just being real encouraging, because a couple times I wanted to just stop. So I appreciate him, and I can go on for hours saying how much he's done for me.
Okay.
Definitely. We appreciate both of
One quick thing.
Mhm.
They didn't agree to this. I just kind of threw you. But go on.
That was foul. Yo, but yeah, we like I said, it's all good. I mean,
Right.
you know, no matter what, we know you wouldn't have just been like, oh, he gonna bring somebody okie doke that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. So no, we knew it was a point behind it. So.
Right. And again, we've come across a lot of great individuals. Wisdom Court.
Mm-hmm.
I could go on for days with so many people a part of that. And I guess if it wasn't for them, we would have never met you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely want to say, as they would say, it's only up from here.
Right.
So again, if y'all want to get in touch with him, the best way is, all I'm gonna say is social media.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to give his name, that's on him. Even
Right.
if he doesn't, but you got to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody
Right.
that knows somebody that knows him.
And before we end this, I gotta say it because I think the last time we saw you, we brought it up. No, we ain't forget that we were supposed to be in there in January.
Oh yeah.
And it is now March. We so yo.
We still recording, right?
Right.
All right. Just checking. Don't edit this out.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So you can use it later down the line.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should be in the next couple of weeks. We should have everything straight.
Right.
Sir.
So with that
all
being
right.
with that being said, I'm JJ.
I'm CJ,
We are the Radio Twins.
and this
This is the Radio Twins Experience podcast. If you ever wanted to follow us on social media, you can always follow us on all of these platforms: Facebook, TikTok, Fanbase, Instagram, Twitch, Substack,
How do you
Spill,
do
Blue
all
Sky, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Threads.
Everywhere.
If you ever
Wow.
want to check out our apparel line, you can always go to the same website, look for the tab that says Born to Win Store.
Mhm.
You click it, it takes you there. And if you want to check out our radio show, which is Saturdays at 3 p.m., you can always go to the same website, TheRadioTwins.com.
TheRadioTwins.com.
The Radio Twins Experience is where we also interview interesting individuals because we believe everyone has a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
You experience them just as we do.
Yep.
Experience something new. I'm JJ.
I'm
Love your loved ones today, because tomorrow is never promised.
I'm CJ. One love, one life. You only get one chance to make it right. Let's make it right, people.
We great say, Rube.
Did y'all remember that? Or was there a teleprompter there for that?
No.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right. One love
That's
and all
almost
that,
like-
whatever they just said.
Yeah, but I always like sometimes he does that off the top, and I'm
Right.
like, how do you memorize all that stuff? Because I can't.
Right. I guess if you say it enough,
Enough.
like we could do lyrics, we could
You know
do
what that?
Ah.
You know what that sound like? That sound like Conan. Remember when Conan used to sign off on the radio?
Yeah.
He'd be like, don't do drugs, because drugs is this or whatever. And remember, God don't make no junk. And it's like, yeah,
exactly.
right, man.
And I believe he still does that.
I think he did.
Yeah, he does.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Well, I don't listen to the radio, but all right.
Rube Radio. Oh, that's right. You got a podcast too. Let them know about that.
I got a podcast.
Once again, Rube, thank you. We appreciate
it.
both of you. Thank you again. All right.
Appreciate you, man.
We're the Radio Twins Experience.
Peace.
Peace.